in relationships, and the special love relationships and the special hate relationships that are all a substitute to just keep us from not looking, to keep us so preoccupied in the world. You know, I think many times, though, we look at this and we go, really, can it just be that simple? That we're looking for God, that that's the answer? Can it be that simple? But I think what I want you to do is to think what you think about the world now, what you've accepted about the world now. How did this world get here? How did we get where we are? If you take it, especially in the Western world, the premise we live under, most of us, is this Garden of Eden mentality, right? Something went wrong. What we've been told is we were given paradise, and then Adam was fine there, then Eve came along, and the two of them together conspired and ate that apple that God told them not to. And in doing so, God got really mad because his children did something they were not supposed to do and were told not to do. And instead of correcting them and putting them on a good old timeout, which most parents would do, what did he do? He booted them out of paradise for all time, and all the rest of your children will be born in pain, and suffering shall be your lot. How about that? I'm telling you, all our kids would be out on the streets if that's how we did it. Now, you might laugh about that. How silly. No one would do that. No parent would do that. Certainly you wouldn't do that. You wouldn't advise anybody to do that. But we accept it, hook, line, and sinker, that that's our story. That's our story. I mean, take it down to its basic. That's our story. That's our spiritual story. Does that make sense to you? No. So, does this sound more likely that a God of love loves you and that you've forgotten that reality? You know, at the turn of the century, and I'm always amazed at the turn of the century, it's no longer, when I say that, I'm always thinking of 1800s and 1900s. That's how old I am. It's the 1900s to the 2000s, but go back one. You know, go to the 1800s to the 1900s. That's a big time changes were going on because the 1800s was Industrial Revolution. So that's kind of was a big thing. But in there was also a spiritual revolution, because the end of the 1800s into the 1900s, you had what was called New Thought. You know, that was unity, religious science, especially in this country. Unity, religious science. It was our Enlightenment period, if you will. Christian Science. You know, and Mary Baker Eddy, and I love it because the course talks about it. I meant to find that section. You can find it. It's in the early text part of the course where it talks about our once upon a time story, if you will. It's our beginning story. It says that in the Bible, it says that God put Adam into a deep sleep. And, you know, in that sleep, according to the Bible, that he took a rib from Adam and he made woman, right? Well, it never in the Bible says that Adam woke up. And the course talks about that. And the course uses that analogy for us that there has not been a real collective awakening yet. And that's what this course is about, a collective awakening for us. So to me, our story that we have bought into of this God being so wrathful, so quick to judge, so angry towards his children, doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But it would make sense in a dream, wouldn't it? Just as even though you were never naked in high school, our naked in high school dreams, or our forgetting our locker dreams, or the multiple of other dreams that we have had that have seemed so scary to us, are just as likely to be a lie as that one. So what makes more sense to you? And that's why I think we have trouble turning to this, because we don't ever look. And the course tells us you have to look at your special hate relationships. And you have to look at your special love relationships. Because by not looking at them, they survive. By looking at them, we see the insanity. The fact that when we have these silly dreams that scare us or terrify us, when we wake up and we look at them, or we say them out loud, they bug us, don't they? They scare us, they annoy us, until we say them out loud or tell them to somebody. Why is that? Because the moment that you start putting voice to them, they don't make a lot of sense. Have you ever noticed that? You start going, well, here's what happened. It was so scary because that monster grew out of my toenail. And ate my finger. And well, that doesn't make any sense. Why would that happen? But you start saying it and you realize just how insane it is. That's why I think you need to look at what you believe. Maybe you say, well, I don't believe that Bible story, but in some ways it's such ancient learning that you have believed, and it really doesn't make sense. You're not like that. You wouldn't do that to your child. You wouldn't even do it to a friend. Why would you think God would? It's time for us to look at the insanity that has weaved our lives and saying, that's enough. This makes more sense. I want to know your will from me. I want to stop searching for the endless things I search for to give me the contentment of life that I think I'm going to find, when I want to remember you. That's why we named this conference for this 50th anniversary, Let Me Remember. Off of that workbook lesson, let me remember I am one with God. In that is our salvation. That's why this is said so many times in the Course. Why? Because it's like the Course even says, it's like an ancient memory that's dimmed in us, but it's still there. It's like that tune to that song. You just know. You know you're going to remember it. It's still there. You know, it's there, and we can recall it as it becomes stronger within us.